Hello and welcome to Friendship and Joy with me, Karen, today. Wow, it feels like a long time ago since I did this. Well, for you guys it might not be that long ago, but for me it feels like it was a while ago since I did a recording. Anyway, so what is new in the world? We've gone into another lockdown just before Christmas. Not fun at all. Christmas to me will not be at all the same. I know Christmas will not be the same for a lot of people this year. It will be quite different. Usually for Christmas we get together with my husband's family, with large Italian crazy family. We have usually about 22 people over for dinner, so that will not happen this Christmas Eve. It will be quite different. But, you know, it's one Christmas. Next year, I have every confidence that I'm sure next year will be a different story. We can go back to normal next Christmas, but this year will be pretty low-key. But we will try to make the best of it. And I know anyone who's celebrating Christmas or Hanukkah or any other holiday and you're used to getting together with family, it will feel different for all of us this year. And we'll just have to make the best of it. Now, as you can see, I finished my second Treville, and yes, this one is for me. I'm very pleased with how this one turned out. I can stand up and show you. It turned out quite lovely. I'm very happy with the colors because I feel that this is not just a winter sweater. I feel like we can I feel that I can wear this even in the summer on a cooler night. I can wear it with, you know, like white jeans or something, because I feel that the colors remind me of, like, I don't know, ice cream. I don't know, something, you know, like, so it doesn't, and this, since the yarn is more of a fingering weight, it's very thin, which is good because I don't get too hot. I love some of my other sweaters that I have knitted, but often I can't wear them, especially not indoors, because they're too thick and too heavy and I get very hot. So if you're anything like me, try fingering weight. I can highly recommend it. And since this one is knitted kind of loose and airy, it feels really comfortable to wear. Washing a garment like this, I used merino. Actually, I should show you the yarn. I think I did mention the yarn before. I have talked about cascade yarns in the past, and I mean, they are quite common, but I do like all of them. I haven't used any cascade yarn that I'm not happy with. So this is the Cascade Heritage yarn in fingering weight, and it is a 75% superwash merino wool and 25% nylon, so it's very, very soft. And since it is superwash, technically you can stick it in the washing machine. I'm too nervous, I won't do it. I'd rather hand wash my knitted things. I use Woolite and I just hand wash them, and then I press the water out, just like when I block, and then I lay them flat again, and that's the best way to take care of them. But I rather wear it with a camisole underneath and air it out and wash it as little as possible. Sometimes it's unavoidable, especially around the neckline, if you need to wash it a little bit, but hand washing usually gets out some of that makeup or anything else that it might get little, you know, around the neckline. So a good hand wash is all I recommend for these. What else have I been doing? I have two things to talk about today. First thing, I'm gonna show you what I'm doing at the moment. With all these leftover yarns that I have for this, because this yoke doesn't use up a lot of yarn, these skeins come in 400 meters. So you get a lot of yarn for that. But I bought large skeins because I love to use up leftover yarns, and I have now cast on for another little sweater. And let me see if I can show you this. Let me see. It looks like this so far. And it is going to be a raglan sleeve here, as you can see. And I started with a collar here, and I'm working my way down. And when the increases here at the sleeves are large enough, I'm gonna put off some of these stitches and then continue with the body and then do the sleeves. Now I'm knitting this without a pattern. I just did an I-cord edge cast on to begin with, and then I measured out 31 stitches for the front and 31 for the back, and then 15 on between each arm. And then I am on every second row I'm doing increases at the raglan sleeves here, and then I'm using this pattern in between. So it's completely my own design, if you will. And what I do when I design patterns like this, I go to a website called Stitch Fiddle, and you can print out and do your own pattern. So this is what I came up with on that particular website. I don't have, you can upgrade their program or whatever to do more intricate pattern work, but I just use the free version, and I sit and play around with it, and I come up with a design, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, this looks pretty good, and then I incorporate it in just a simple sweater making. So we'll see how that turns out. I'm not 100% sure if I have enough yarn to do the whole body in the same pattern. I would ideally like to do that, but I might have to do a solid part with a different color and then come back to the pattern towards the bottom. We'll see. And that's what's so exciting about this. You never know how something's gonna turn out. So I'm having a lot of fun with it, and yeah, we'll see. Now, haven't come up with a name for this pattern yet, so if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments below. What should I call this? I don't know, but yeah, we'll see. I might go in with I might do another green section, or I might go in with the cream and then alternate. I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll see where this takes me. It'll keep me busy for a while, that's for sure. Another thing, these are not something I've done recently, but I want to show you pot holders. You can't have too many pot holders. I made these many years ago, so they are very well used. And it's just a basic waffle design. These are crocheted. I can't even remember if I had a pattern for these, or if I've seen this type of waffle stitch in the crochet design or whatever, but I did them in double crochets. Just basically these pot holders are done in a basic waffle stitch, and they are double-sided. The one thing to remember when you make pot holders is to use, first you have to use either real wool, like 100% wool, or 100% cotton. You don't want to use any nylon or other synthetic material, because they won't hold up to the heat. So you want a thicker, sturdier yarn, and when you crochet you want to think tight and dense. And I like to double them up to have a backing on them, because that way I know I'm not going to burn my fingers on this. There's no way. They hold up to heat. I bake, I cook, I take my Dutch oven out. When I bake my sourdough bread, I just use these, and they are, after a lot of use, they become a little softer and more pliable, but they are thick and dense enough that they will protect you from the heat. Now, I was gonna see if I could show you how to do this. Since I'm left-handed, it might not be so easy for you guys to see, because it will look very awkward and it will look backwards to most of you. So when I begin, I chain 33, and I am going to put double crochets now, and I will begin to do so in the third chain from the hook, and I will double crochet the first row. Just plain double crochet. So here I am at the end of my first row. I have done now a total of 31 double crochets. I forgot to mention, I'm using a 3.75 millimeters, and I'm using a fairly medium thick cotton yarn. Now, if you tend to crochet a little looser, go down to like 1.25 or something. You want it to feel pretty dense. Now, the next row, you chain up 2. Normally for double crochet, a lot of people chain up 3, but since I don't want any kind of gaps or anything, a little tighter is better. Now, the first one here, I always count as a double crochet. And in the beginning and in the end, you always crochet on top of the actual crochet. The second pole here, I am now going to do a double crochet around this whole bar. So normally you would go in on top of the stitch here, but I will begin by going in around the stitch, and I place my double crochet here. And the next stitch I will do on top as normal. And I will continue this. So this is the next bar. I'll go around that bar. And the next stitch will be on top. And I'll see you at the end of this row. So here I am at the very end. I'm doing my last around the pole double crochet, and I will finish it off at the very end of this beginning double crochet. And this is how the first round looks. So now you can see you're already getting a bit of a 3D effect in this pattern. These poles are protruding, and then on the other side these poles are protruding. So you get front, back, front, back, front, back. I think it's called double crochet on front post. I think that's what that stitch is called. I'm not sure actually. Anyways, row 2, you chain up 2. Oops. And now you will want to look at what's protruding and what's not. So on the back side, you will always begin, this will count as your first double crochet. And now you can see that the next stitch is the one that is in towards the back, and the third stitch here is the one that's protruding. So you just want to follow along and do the same pattern but in the reversed on the back side. So now we will begin by placing a double crochet on the top of the stitch and follow through to do around the post on the one that is already protruding. So the first row is a little trickier, and then after this you can actually see if it should be, this should be in behind or on top I should say, and this one is protruding, so let's do it around the front post. And you just carry on so forth until the very end. And you always finish it off with one on top of the last. So regardless, always finish off. The last stitch should be on top of the previous double crochet as an edge stitch. Now, another thing I wanted to point out is that when you do crochet like this, I find that quite often you forget when the working yarn is starting to tug a little bit, your crocheting gets tighter and tighter and tighter, and you often slip a stitch, or you forget about, like, it just doesn't feel comfortable and it doesn't flow. So before each and every row, give yourself lots of slack so that you don't have any yarn tugging on anything. That way you end up with an even tension and you don't slip stitches or get snagged or anything. The yarn is just flowing more easily. And now, basically, there's no more to show you about this. You basically keep going back and forth like this until you have the amount of rows to create a nice square. And then you can either use the same yarn and make another one identical, or you take another color for the backing. And once you have made two, when you have done your two squares, you crochet them together with a single crochet all the way around, and you make a little loop, and voila, you have a pot holder. So, like I said, this was not a full tutorial because you probably cannot see my left-handed crocheting anyways, but you get the idea. So once you've done your front and your back, you crochet them together with a single crochet all the way around. You finish it off with a little loop, and voila, you made yourself a pot holder. And then you have to go ahead and make pot holder number 2. That's never as much fun. If you're anything like me and you're impatient, the second one always gets a little wonkier than the first. But hey, that's life, right? So with that said, I wish you all a very, very lovely Christmas, and whatever holiday you might celebrate, I wish you enjoy it. Have a good time and happy knitting. I'll see you in the next year. Bye.